Celtic take on Motherwell tonight in the Scottish Premier League. They are 7 points clear. Can they maintain this form until the World Cup break? I'm going to be looking ahead to this game just after this. This video and the rest of the videos on the channel are brought to you in association with the OneFootball app. The OneFootball app is your one-stop shop for all your football goodness. You can get your team news, fixtures, results, transfer news, anything that you want on any team in any league is available in the OneFootball app. On top of all that, you can get exclusive highlights of every Serie A game across the calendar year exclusively on the OneFootball app. And every Saturday of the season this year, there will be live streaming one game from the Serie A exclusively on the OneFootball app. So download the OneFootball app now using the link in the description below. You'll be supporting the channel and you'll be getting yourself a top-notch football app as well. How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the channel. So it's a massive night for Celtic as they take on Motherwell in the SPFL, the second last game before we head into the World Cup break. Celtic are 7 points clear at the top of the table, an opportunity to go 10 points clear potentially during the World Cup, and that would be a huge boost going into the second part of the season in the new year. Celtic 10 points clear, pushing on for their second title in a row under Ange Postecoglou. Now, it is a slogfest at the minute. The Dundee United game was not Celtic's best performance. I think a lot of players, especially the players that are picked for their international teams for the World Cup, are probably conserving themselves a little bit, and the other players are probably just a little bit bollocks with the amount of games that they've been playing. Some players have been playing most of the games, like Matt O'Reilly, who's had to fill in for Callum McGregor as the number 6, like Joe Hart playing in nets every game. And I think we're seeing a lot of rotation from Ange. As a result, there were 7 changes to the team that played against Dundee United, that played against Real Madrid. So he is rotating a lot in order to conserve some legs, conserve some injuries, and just prevent players from going into this break injured, because I think it's a huge momentum shift for Celtic. If they can go into this game, get a result, they can go 10 points clear and potentially give or take, depending on what results go on the other side of Glasgow from now until the World Cup break. Celtic could potentially be 10 points clear going into the World Cup and going into the second half of the season. And that's definitely not to be scoffed at, and it's definitely not to be laughed at. That is progress that Celtic have made over the last number of months under Ange Postecoglou. And although the Champions League came and went and Celtic were disappointed with how they potentially performed results-wise on the pitch, I thought performances were quite good. But in general, that has left a tone that wasn't at Celtic last year with the European defeats. It feels like Celtic are almost worse off in some ways, because we realise how big a gulf there is now between us and the European elite. But domestically, Celtic have been better than last year, and that's reflected on the league table. That's reflected in the progress in the League Cup and the Scottish Cup. Celtic are in a better position now than they were 12 months ago. That is an absolute fact. Whether or not you want to believe that because of what went on in Europe, that's your choice. But I personally believe that Celtic are in a better position now than they were 12 months ago, squad-wise, depth-wise, and progress has been made on the pitch as well. Now, it has been interrupted with injuries to key players, Callum McGregor being the main one. But the main point I would make on that is Matt O'Reilly has been playing as the number 6 for the last number of weeks now, and Celtic are still at the top of the table. They're 7 points clear. And when it initially came out that Callum McGregor was going to be out for so long, he was going to be out until at least the World Cup, if not a little bit after it, the concern was who's going to fill in for him. Is that going to have a massive impact on the team? Now, it probably did impact how the team played overall in Europe once he got injured. But in terms of domestic form, Matt O'Reilly, Aaron Moy, whoever it was filling in for him, we now only have 2 more games to do that, essentially, without Callum McGregor as the number 6. Hopefully he does come back straight away after the World Cup and we get going from where he left off. But that just goes to show how good a job Matt O'Reilly has actually done when it comes to getting the job done as the number 6. Now, you can talk about Matt O'Reilly's overall form and whether or not he suits the number 6 role. Personally, I do not. I think he is stifled a little bit in that role, but he's a young lad. He's learning his trade. He's learning to be a number 6, and he's done a decent enough job that Celtic haven't really been impacted all that much on the pitch in terms of results for the last number of weeks as with him as the number 6. So I think credit has to go to Matt O'Reilly for filling in that role, and hopefully when Callum McGregor does come back, we'll see Matt O'Reilly coming back up to the number 8 and doing what he does best, and that's, I think, being very, very creative in the final third of the pitch. But we move on to the Motherwell game. In this video, I'm going to be predicting the starting lineup, I'm going to be predicting the score, and I'm going to predict the scorers as well. Let's start with the starting lineup. Again, I do think we will see a number of changes from the team that played against Dundee United at the weekend, but it's not going to change in goals. That's Joe Hart's position. And Siegrist might get an opportunity in the cup games. I think that's the way it's going to go for Siegrist as Celtic's number 2 this year. But Joe Hart is going to start in nets for this one. At right back, I think Joseph Juranovic will come in again in replacement of Anthony Ralston, who had a decent enough game against Dundee United, but I think just rotating that right back position is something that Ange is going to do now that Ralston seems to have sort of brought himself into the pecking order once again this season. Greg Taylor will come in at left back. You know, Bernabei was unlucky last week with the handball, not handball, whatever way you want to look at it. He got booked. That's probably why he was taken off so early. But I do think Greg Taylor will come into the starting lineup for this game. Jens is going to be the left-sided centre-back, and I think Starfelt will come in for a start and rest Cameron Carter-Vickers. He is one of the players that you look at in the similar vein of Callum McGregor, where you do not want him picking up a stupid muscle tear or something that was just unnecessary in a midweek game against Motherwell as we get into this stage of the season where it's an absolute slogfest. Rotation is key when it comes to our key players. Cameron Carter-Vickers will probably drop out of the team tonight in place for Carl Starfelt. Into the midfield. Now, I was conflicted when I was putting this together because I'm stuck between what I would like to see and what I think is actually going to happen. So I would like to see Abelgar get a start in this game. I'd like to see him come in as the number 6, pushing Matt O'Reilly up into the number 8 position and allowing him to be a little bit more free, getting to see what Abelgar can do and just getting minutes under his belt, because he hasn't really got that many minutes so far since he's come into the Celtic team. And I think this is the key opportunity to do so. You've got a team where Celtic are pretty comfortable against in history form, and I think Abelgar is good enough to come into this position and show what he can do and showcase what he can do. Whether or not it's too defensively minded, I'm not so sure. I think he has attacking qualities as well, and I would like to see him play this role. Now, that's what I would like to see. That's not actually what I think is going to happen tonight. I think there's going to be a change in the team shape. Tonight we're going to see a 4-1-4-1, sort of what Ange has done already this season. Matt O'Reilly will be the number 6 in my opinion. I think Hatate will be pushed a little bit forward, with Haksabanovic playing in the midfield or playing as part of the front 3, depending on which way you look at it and which way the shape ends up. Then it will be Abada on the right with Jota on the left and Kyogo through the middle as the main striker, coming in for Giakoumakis up front. Nothing to do with what Giakoumakis did at the weekend. He looked a little bit frustrated at times when he wasn't getting the ball into the box early. That's what you need when you have Giakoumakis on the pitch. That's probably not what you're going to get when you have players who like to dribble like Haksabanovic and Jota in the side. That is a team that I think is strong enough to beat this Motherwell side. That's a team that I'm sort of shoehorning a lot of players in. I think Haksabanovic, after his 2 goals, does not deserve to be dropped. Otherwise, I think he probably would come out of the team for Abada, who got his goal at the weekend as well. Jota is playing well enough in order not to be dropped, and I think Kyogo, after getting the goal, will want to push on, especially after the disappointment of not making the Japan World Cup squad. I think it's a good opportunity to get Kyogo into the side, and I do think Celtic will have an attacking team on the pitch tonight with enough defensively as well, in terms of that boxing them in further up the pitch rather than playing a little bit more defensively minded with the 4-3-3. Now to the scoreline. I think Celtic are going to win this game 3-1, but I think that third goal is probably going to come later on in the game. Celtic haven't been as strong defensively as they would have liked in recent weeks. That's probably down to tiredness. It might be down to the disappointment of the Champions League. Who knows what goes into it, but they also have to deal with VAR decisions like the one that happened against Dundee United. The handball for Bernabei. These are things you can't really account for, but these are things that we're going to have to get used to as Celtic fans. These decisions are going to go against us, and I think whether or not VAR comes into it tonight against Motherwell, I think Celtic are going to concede, but I think they're going to win 3-1 overall, with 1 or 2 of the goals coming late on in the second half. I do not think this game is going to be a classic. And finally, to the scorers. Who do I think is going to get Celtic's goal? Well, I think Kyogo is going to get on the score sheet. I think Haksabanovic, after getting his 2 goals at the weekend, the deadlock is finally broken. Whether or not he scores absolute screamers or absolute tap-ins like he did at the weekend, I think he's going to get on the score sheet. I think we're going to start to see a lot more goal contributions from Haksabanovic as he starts to cement himself in the starting lineup for Celtic. And I think Abada as well. He has been absolutely clinical in front of goal. We did a little bit of a deep dive on Abada during the week, yesterday actually, in fact, on the Huddle Breakdown. You can find that video on the channel if you want to have a look at that. Myself and Alan Morrison look back at the Dundee United game, and Abada is a key focus of one of the players and how he has contributed to this team this year so far, and I think he's going to contribute again tonight. He's really, really clinical in front of goal, has a lot to improve on, but when you get him into the box in the right positions, there's very, very few players on the Celtic team that you trust to put the ball in the back of the net more than Abada, and I think he's going to do that again tonight. So that is my prediction for tonight's game against Motherwell. Celtic have the opportunity to go 10 points clear at the top of the table. What do you think? Do you think Celtic are going to win it? What do you think of the overall analysis in this video? Let me know in the comments below. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, do subscribe. Hit the subscribe button below. Get notified every time a video goes live. And you can like the video as well. It helps more people see them. So hopefully all these predictions will come true. Hopefully Celtic do go further ahead in the league title race. And hopefully we get a result tonight. Enjoy the game, folks. We'll chat to you later. Good luck.